Okay, and here we go. Welcome to the United Man. My name is Shane. I've been joined by two of our fellow United supporters, Tom and Mr. Red Devil Studio himself. G, how we doing, lads?
Yeah, doing good.
All good, mate.
Thank you very much for joining me, by the way, on my first ever podcast. As you both know, I've been copying G, if I'm honest with you. Not quite, and I apologise for the headphones as well. I've got a piece of sellotape holding it together as well. So these are my gaming headphones, and they've seen some torture over the past couple of years. So yeah, it's all good. Just so everyone is aware, we're going to be going through a few things, as it said on the thumbnail. We're going to be looking at how we'd line up if Jadon Sancho was to join Manchester United. For those of you that have seen my videos beforehand, I fully expect us to sign him. So without further ado, if we go into it, I'll just bring up... if we start with yourself, Tom, first and foremost, do you feel that Jadon Sancho will eventually arrive at Manchester United?
Well, it's just the longevity of it, really. You know, I think it's just got the feel of like the transfer that we were supposed to make for Bruno Fernandes in the summer, and it didn't happen. You know, it got dragged out for a long period of time, and it just feels like we're beating around the bush on a price tag, really. You know, we were doing the same with Bruno Fernandes. They wanted 80 million. We were only prepared to pay 60, you know, and so we didn't end up getting the player in the end. And it's the same way now. I think we're putting an offer of 90 million and they're wanting over 120 million euros, which equates back to about 110 million in British terms. So it's a case of we're apart in the fee.
Yeah.
It's a case of, because we've only got 6 weeks to get a deal done. And there's this reported deadline of they want a deal done by the 10th of August, which is a day before they go on a pre-season tour. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made it clear, I think, to the board that he wants to get Jadon Sancho in before Man United go on pre-season tour, so he can put a lot of plans into place for the new season. So it's just a case of the time and it's time and money, really. I do think he will eventually arrive, but both clubs are playing hardball, and it's not really that simple. One way he's got to give. Is it going to be Man United or is it going to be Dortmund? Whose hand's going to be forced? You know, It's clear Man United want the player. It's clear Dortmund are prepared to sell. Otherwise, they wouldn't enter negotiations.
Yeah.
But the price is, you know, when you pay over that, that's a record fee for Manchester United. That's actually Manchester United's most expensive player if we do sign him for over £90 million, which is the fee that's being touted. So, but yeah, if he does come into this team, undoubtedly he's going to improve this team. For me, absolutely. I think the attack is ticked off. You know, 3 ticks: Martial, Rashford, Sancho. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah,
and then you've got a young player coming through in Greenwood who's just going to excel at this level as well. You know, sitting on the bench.
Yeah, we're going to touch on Greenwood as well for sure.
So it's just a case of, I do think it's going to happen. It's just a case of when. That's the problem. And with this board and with Ed Woodward, the amount of time that he tries to fleece other people to not pay full fees and full ransoms that clubs want, it's just the problem that we've got. You know, any club right now, Manchester City's owners wanted Jadon Sancho for that much money. They'd bought him by now. It's just the people that we have running our football club, and it takes too long. But eventually, pray to the gods and everything, we might actually get the deal over the line and get the player that we want.
Yeah, good point. Well, that being said, I suppose it's like you said, great point there where you said that if City were after him or someone else of that ilk, there'd be let's say they would have signed him already. But yeah, with that, we've got another of our Manchester United fellow supporters, Draco Evolved, that's joined on the stream. How are you doing, Draco? You all right?
Hello, sorry, a bit late, but thanks for having me on the stream, buddy.
Never, man. Yeah, all good. We was just Tom was just touching on. We just asked. Oh well, pretty much on the subject of Jadon Sancho. Tom, I've asked the Tom question if he actually feels like Jadon Sancho is actually going to join us. So there's that. But the next question I was going to ask G was, G, now if he did eventually, me personally, I believe it's a question of when and not if. But if we did sign him, how do you think that would work in terms of our formation, in terms of personnel? What, or if the lineup was, if we were to bring him in, how would it look like to you?
I don't think the lineup changes. I think that, basically Sancho goes where Greenwood is playing right now. He goes on the right wing, so Greenwood goes to the bench. And then, you have, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, Martial's going to be our number 9 from what I can see going forward, and Rashford is going to be on the left, so you're going to have Rashford, Martial, and then Jadon Sancho as the front 3, I think. So I think from a frontline perspective, I don't think it really changes that much regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's formation. I just think it means that someone like Mason Greenwood goes to the bench, and for everyone that's saying that, okay, because how Greenwood and how good he's been, we don't need to get Sancho. I don't think really you need to realize the importance of sort of squad depth. And why I think Mason Greenwood was quite good is that Mason Greenwood is flexible. So he can play up front, he can play on the left, he can play on the right. Yes. So no doubt that Jadon Sancho, Martial, and Rashford are not going to be fit, all 3 of them all season. If they do, it's going to be a miracle, but I highly doubt that they will. So that's why, you can have someone like Green who's still a kid who could sort of come in and really make a difference. So, like I said, the way that I kind of see is that Sancho coming in doesn't really change Ole's formation. It's just that we finally actually have an actual right winger.
Right winger,
who's obviously world class and can obviously perform.
Well, he that being said though, G, he is an out and out winger. But he scores goals, man. He's a massive creator, but he scores goals. And I feel like if we're gonna be, because there's been times where we've been playing that we've looked stuck for ideas. Even this season, even though we've had quite a few performances where it's been free flowing, but there's been a lot of times when we look like we've come a bit stuck against certain opposition and whatnot. So with that being said, because what I've done, Draco, I've gone with an alternative formation, possibly. It's as G said, my preference would be that we stay as we are and Sancho just comes in, and like G said, goes with Rashford on the left and Martial up top. That's my preference as well. But I feel like, I don't know if Ollie has it in him, in all honesty, but I've gone with an alternative, Draco, of a 4-4-2 diamond with the Gea in goal still for next season. We'll get onto that. Shaw, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. I've left question marks, right, with our second centre back, because I'm just not happy with Lindelof at all.
Yes.
Matic, I've gone with the sort of like holding player. Pogba on the left-hand side of the diamond, Sancho on the right-hand side of the diamond, who will naturally drift wider, and Pogba, who will naturally drift central, and Bruno at the tip of the diamond, and when defending can drop into sort of like a 4-1-3-2, and I've gone with Martial and Greenwood as a bone of contention, as the front 2 up top. What do you say to that then, Draco?
It's interesting. It's quite interesting, actually. I do feel our biggest strength lies on the wings. With the form where Rashford is, and potentially the signing off Jadon Sancho, and the depth that we're going to have probably with Greenwood in there as well. A diamond formation, I think is strong centrally, what we got. But I think to get the best out of the likes of Sancho and Rashford in the same team, I think a wing position would be much better. I think 4-3-3 obviously works. We've seen that. I think Oli has in recent times used a lot more of a 4-2-3-1 as well. So he does favor the inside forwards or wingers, whatever whatever you want to say. But look, I want Oli to have 2-3 formations, and I've been saying that for a long time, to challenge on the top level, not to win anything. I don't think we're there yet. But to challenge and stay up, we need to change up formations mid-game or certain games. Yes, we do the 5-3-2 counter-attacking style against the tougher sides like a Liverpool or a Man City, which has worked. Fantastic. But we've also need to kind of have like a stable 4-3-3. I think the right wing position is on the long term over the season, as G said, there's a lot of games over the season. We do need a depth in that squad. I think that with the 4-3-3, I think we're going to see if we get depth in, like a central midfielder from the bench and obviously right winger sorted, I think that will work even more because we'll have options from the bench. At the moment, the squad depth is a bit lacking for Ole to change around too many times, especially during games. If we're in the Champions League, we're going to be getting big games. Every Premier League game is going to be huge, but every 3 days is going to be potentially a Champions League tie as well. So you're going to be facing a lot more teams who are more tactically astute and better teams on the midweek, as opposed to, with all due respect, Europa League teams.
Yeah.
Diamond,
no, Drake, not with all due respect, bro.
I was trying to be nice, man.
These guys are doo-doo, man. Come on now, let's be honest, man.
I was trying to be nice,
should
man.
be in the Champions League. You don't have to be nice, man.
We're in the Champions League, baby.
No disrespect at all, man. We should be absolutely squashing teams in the Europa League. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Just to a point that obviously John has obviously made as well, saying that obviously Woodward's penny pinching. Obviously, Tom alluded to earlier where these games are constantly played by Ed Woodward, and it's quite tiresome now because we're going through another transfer window. Similar thing like Tom said happened with Bruno, Maguire. Is there any benefit to this type of ploy? Because we played the same amount that we wanted to that Leicester wanted for Maguire in the end as well. Is there any point to this? What clearly Ed Woodward was trying to do.
No, because he doesn't know anything about football. This is the problem, and we've said it for a while. We need a technical director.
Yes,
somebody to run the football like this. Ed Woodward. I'll admit this, right? The positive to Ed Woodward, he'll make you money. He'll make you millions.
Yeah.
He'll make you. He's made over £800 million in commercial and revenue fees, which is the highest fee in Premier League history. Yeah, that's a record for the financial people who run the financial side of the club down London. We need a football director. We need a technical director. We need somebody who actually knows football. Now we've spoken about technical directors and we've spoken about ex-players, Darren Fletcher, Rio Ferdinand. No. And the reason why I'll say no to that is, they know Manchester United, but do they know the transfer market? Do they know how all that works? Do they have experience in that? No, they don't. This is why we need to go around Europe, go to any top European club.
Yeah.
I've heard about Atletico Madrid's technical director isn't happy with the approach of the club that Simeone's taking Atletico Madrid. He's brought in some amazing players at Atletico Madrid. He's brought in Griezmann. He's brought in, Oblak. Amazing players. That's the same if you go to Juventus. Juventus have had some top players in Italy. Pirlo, Buffon, top quality players over the last couple of years. These are the people that we need to be getting from a young age. These type of players. And like we had Woodward, we talk about Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho's 20 years old, we've got to remember.
Yeah.
20 years old. He could still play until he's probably 40 if he wanted to. That's 20 years.
Mm.
We need somebody who actually knows football, a technical director. Ed Woodward can ship off down to London and get record revenues and fees or whatever.
Which, like you said, he's good at.
Yeah, get a technical director. And a person who I would put prime example for the role, he does the exact same role as what Ed Woodward does, but he does it at Ajax, and it's Edwin van der Sar. Yeah, he's an ex-player, and I've just stated about ex-player. Yeah. But Ajax, look at some of the players they've had there. Ziyech, Donny van der Beek's there. De Jong's been there. De Ligt still, there. All these quality players that they're bringing in, and he's made them better players, and they've gone to better clubs. De Jong's gone to Barcelona. Yeah, he's not been phenomenal, but he's at least moved on. And he's made him a better player. So he knows what to look for.
So with that then, I suppose, for want of a better word, we are behind the curb with that massively.
Oh, massively. I look at.
But who would you say? Who would you? I know because you mentioned obviously Atletico Madrid, obviously Juventus, even like some of the other Spanish clubs as well, where Valencia have got some kind of a conveyor belt. That's more from their youth system though than bringing players in. But like Sevilla seem to do even a better job than us in terms of unearthing certain players. You know what I mean?
We're supposed to be the biggest club in the world. What people say. How can you not have these people in charge of your club? Right, and I'll go to allude to it. Right, we renowned Liverpool and Manchester City as being the biggest clubs in the Premier League. We'd all agree on that, yeah? Right.
Yeah.
At Liverpool, they have 2 technical directors. At Manchester City, they've got 3. Right, we haven't even got 1.
Yeah.
This shows how, and we're questioning why we're about 30 points behind them in the league and stuff.
To that point, though, Tom, right, where you mentioned there, we've been running off Sir Alex Ferguson's type of
this is what I mean.
working
He
for so
did
long.
it all. He didn't need these people 20 years ago, and that's why he's so good at what he did, and he's going to be renowned as one of the greatest managers of all time.
Yeah.
Because he did it all by himself. You know, look at Manchester City. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just thinking, because what you said there, obviously we're looking at, like you say, City, for example, with their technical directors. So we are still bringing players through the youth system, which brings me on to our next topic, where we're buying some players foreign. A lot of the lads are still local that we're bringing through at the moment as well. So I'm more leaning towards a technical director fully, obviously, to work in full cohesion with our youth, so Nicky Butt and his staff. Yeah. So I wanted to see, because obviously we've got Greenwood. That's the next segment as well. Greenwood is our next segment. So, and I've got this question I pose to all of you, but first and foremost, I'll go to G with this one with regards to Greenwood. So, to put Tom's point, technical director, I fully support that, or director of football, whatever the name is these days. I fully support that. However, would that get in the way? Because obviously Greenwood, if you give me first of all, G, how you in summarize Greenwood's season and his I suppose how he's emerged in a short space of time, and he's obviously in that short space of time he's done absolutely phenomenal, breaking records left, right, and centre. What do you see? Because obviously, if we do get Sancho, it's going to impact in a way. It will impact. Let's be honest, Greenwood, won't it? So, what do you see in terms of Greenwood? How is burst into the scene, and what his impact's going to be going forwards?
So, I think first we've got to credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think if the two players I'd say this season that I would argue have improved, and because of Solskjaer and the coaching staff, it's got to be Anthony Martial and Mason Greenwood. Those are probably the two players I'm seeing this season that I've noticed an improvement in them, and that's down to coaching. They're doing things different, and they're making a difference. And with someone like Mason Greenwood, it's been clear from people who've watched him in the youth setup in the academy, as Solskjaer and the others have, is that he's talented. He's very talented. And arguably, as Solskjaer said himself, that he's United's best finisher. And looking at Greenwood this season, I can see why he's our best finisher. I still think Martial Martial's probably more talented, I think. But the thing with Greenwood,
overall, you mean, G? Yeah.
Overall, Martial is somewhat more talented, but with Greenwood, the thing about Greenwood that I think he has over Rashford definitely, and to a certain extent Martial, is his composure. His composure, and also weirdly, the power on his shots. So for someone that's such a kid, like the actual power that he can generate on both his left foot and right
huge.
foot,
that's huge.
It's just huge. Your ball goals were classic, but were a good example of that. But his composure for me at such a young age, because obviously Martial and Rashford are years older than him. The Greenwood's composure, the two goals in particular, when he scored them, obviously, because it's not so much about how much you score, and that's why statistics can be a bit misleading,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
People say, "Oh, he scored this is the best." Like I'm seeing Liverpool fans being like, "Oh, look at Curtis Jones, blah blah." It's Greenwood. It's like you can't really compare. Even Ansu Fati, I'd argue, Barcelona, I rate really well, because it's also about when you actually score the goals. Yes. And in 2 times this season, in particular, 3 times, yes, they were against the opposition, but they were important. So the first goal I remember is when we were down against Everton. We played horrendous in that game at Old Trafford.
Yes.
We were so bad. And Greenwood came on, scores that goal. We get a point. Yes, we got a draw, but in the grand scheme of the season, that point was crucial.
West Ham. I wasn't
going to go to West Ham. I was even going to go to Bournemouth, because the fact is, people forget we won 5-2, but Bournemouth scored the first goal. Who got us back into the game to equalise? Mason Greenwood.
Yeah.
Then we give away a penalty. It's 3-2. And Bournemouth look like they're potentially going in for the kill. Who scores the 4th goal to effectively kill the game off? Greenwood. And
yeah,
obviously
true.
Thomas mentioned West Ham. So I remember those 3 goals because I've even Sheffield United. I think he came on again to equalize against Sheffield. I think we were 2-0 down because Phil Jones, who could never play for the club ever again, you can see the 2 of those goals for us.
Can't argue that.
He should never. I'll
G, you
take
being
Bailly
harsh
with
there,
one
G.
leg.
G, you being harsh, man. With
Bailly
Phil
with
Jones.
one leg over Phil Jones. I don't care how injury prone Bailly is. If you play Phil Jones over Bailly, it's something wrong.
I know.
Completely wrong. But even then, he did that. So the point I guess I'm trying to make with Greenwood in that composure thing is that it's not why I'm excited, hoping that he kicks on next season. It's not just so much he's just scoring goals and the goals are nice looking, etc. It's the fact that at such a young age, he's had the composure to finish, and he knows the importance of when you score goals, when you score certain goals.
Yeah.
Yes.
And scored goals when need them, and that's when you see a lot of sorry I'm going on here, but when you see a lot of players in the team already that are older than him that don't seem to step up.
Yeah. In the crucial moments.
Come good at the crucial moments.
Yeah.
When Greenwood against Everton, against West Ham, against Sheffield, against Bournemouth was able to do those things. Yes, definitely Bruno Fernandes coming in has helped. But even, against Everton and Sheffield, Bruno Fernandes wasn't there and he still came in and contributed. So, but to answer your question, let me answer it will Sancho coming in, will it affect things? I don't think so. I don't think so because it's like Solskjaer said, it's like the way that Greenwood was playing, you can't drop Mason Greenwood. So you're right. It's up to Sancho. I still think that if we sign Sancho because of the amount that we would eventually spend on him, Sancho's going to have to play.
Yeah.
So, but you can't keep someone like Mason Green out of the team for so long.
So what do you do that? What do you do then? So with relation to that, I'm gonna before we go to Draco as well. So answer me this though, G. Before we go on. So how do you then get, because what Man City do, they've got a load of, they had Leroy Sané, he's obviously gone to Bayern Munich, but what is it? So Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling, Aguero, Gabriel Jesus, who am I missing off that? But they've got basically 5 or 6 players for those front 3 positions, but they interchange them all, they rotate them all, and it doesn't seem like there's ever an issue. So is that something that we can do and look at? Rather than looking at he's a starter, he's a bench player, is that something that we can do then?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. People forget that, as much as Jose Mourinho's reign at Old Trafford was mediocre. I remember that season when we were backing him, when he basically, I think Lukaku was our number 9, or was up top, and then I think on the right it might have been Lingard or someone else, I can't remember. On the left, interchange Martial and Rashford, and it was every first half. Then he'd bring Rashford on. He'd play maybe Rashford for 60 minutes, and bring Martial for 30. Another game would be play Martial for 60 and something interchange. And to be fair, that worked, And then Sanchez came in and just ruined the whole thing. But so with this is the same thing with Mason Greenwood, where you don't. The whole sort of, it's not that, as you said, it's interchangeability. So certain games, Sir Phil Jones, it's that interchangeability. That's what you do. You interchange and say, right, okay. The fact that and this is the thing I'm talking about depth. This is the thing I'm talking about depth. It's like now that Sancho's now come, if we are struggling for whatever reason, you can now be like, right, 60 minutes in, bring on Mason Greenwood.
We're not going to struggle,
bring, okay, and we can alternate. So you know what? Okay, maybe Rashford's out, so Greenwood could go into the centre, Martial can then go on the left. We have that added depth, and that's what we need. So I don't buy this kind of, it's going to affect Greenwood's development, etc., etc. Like so many times this season, we haven't had that person who can come on the pitch and affect things, make a difference. And from what I've said, you've got to play like Greenwood that can do that. So he's still young. He's a still young player. You know what I mean? Like let him just enjoy his football.
Okay, well,
that's me.
G, I will have to say I agree with you. There's no reason why we can't sort of change it up a lot. But if you guys all have a look at this, can you all see that graphic there?
Yep.
Okay, so before I go to you, then Draco, have a good look at that graphic. And what I wanted to allude to was that's a comparison between Rashford and Greenwood at the age of 18. Now, if we're looking at Draco, the question I'm going to come to you with is how good? How good? Everyone's made the comparison of Robin van Persie, all that jazz. How good can Greenwood be? Just looking at those stats. Where, for example, Rashford's season. How great was Rashford's debut season? His full debut season was absolutely fantastic, right? And Rashford's kicked on, fair amount, but the from where Greenwood is to where Rashford was. I think it's kind of light years in terms of their abilities. What would you say to that then Draco?
Man, look, I love Mason Greenwood, man. I think he's going to be a star in the future. But looking at the stats, right? It looks great. A lot of numbers. But looking at the stats, I think we need to protect the kid, right? The last few games, he has been found out a few times. I think he wasn't at his best, Mason Greenwood. I think the tiredness has crept in as well. He's only 18, guys, right?
He's been targeted.
True. Yeah, he's been targeted, exactly. I do feel with the Man City comparison, we do need a couple of more forwards up there. A different sort of personality in terms of forward. Like Igalo, he brings something different from the bench. He's not going to be there for ages. So someone like that probably coming in as playing as a squad rotational. So we can kind of play different formation. And then we obviously got Mason Greenwood, who can come on and make a huge impact. We've seen him do that, many times. And these stats, it can be misleading at times. I mean, Rashford did great in his debut season, but he was playing under Louis van Gaal, I think. And the style of football was a lot different to what Oli was playing, which was more attacking. We probably would have benefited a lot more for Mason Greenwood. Whereas Louis van Gaal was more like sideway passes, and if you can nick a goal or two, that's brilliant. But both are talented. I think Mason Greenwood has a higher ceiling than Rashford at this moment. And I think if we protect him well, rest him, rotate him, give him plenty of game times, because we're going to hopefully play 50 plus games next season, right?
Yeah.
And with the new rule of the Premier League, what was it, 5 subs still, right? Next season, everyone can get plenty of games,
True. Good point. Good point. That is.
Yeah. And I think yes, Igalo is an impact player, can be an impact player of that mold. It's a different type of player, isn't it? I do feel that we probably need a stick number 9, because we got a lot of fluidity, but we don't have sort of an Igalo type of player. And Igalo is not long term, right? Whereas Mason Greenwood can play across the front three. You can change around. To have a bit of a target man there as well. We go back in my days, you can say, with Teddy Sheringham, Solskjaer, Dwight York, and Andy
Teddy.
They were all different type of strikers, right? I think we do need one that can kind of hold up the ball, very good in the air. And I think with Martial and everyone, they're improving, but they're not a specialist in that sense. And to have 2 potentially strikers, attacking options, whatever you want to call it, to come from the bench and impact in different ways. With the 5 subs, I think everyone can get plenty of game time. But Mason Greenwood is, I'm telling you, man, future Ballon d'Or winner.
Okay.
Future Ballon d'Or.
Are you going to end on that?
Yes. I love that guy.
I love that. No, I love that confidence there, honestly.
But protect him. We need to protect him. That's it.
No, you know what though? That's a fantastic point, to be fair though, Draco. Honestly, I think with Rashford, the amount of games Rashford has played, sort of going back maybe 15 years from what Rashford's played already, and he's 22, is the equivalent to someone of a 26-year-old, sorry, sort of like 15, 16 years ago back in the Premier League. So protecting him is a massive point. But to what it's massive. Sorry, what was I going to say?
Oh, sorry, G. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but on that point, I think playing too many games. Look at Rooney; he played way too many games. By the time he reached 30, he was pretty much done, isn't it? And 30 is
even earlier than that, 28 where he was like on his last legs, and that point there where protecting him and not playing too many games is a massive point. And just picking up on Jonathan Reed's point there, and guys, much appreciated for you joining us in the comments as well. Get your questions in as well. We'll answer them as best we can and whatnot. But in terms of is there a risk if we actually don't sign him this summer? This is an open floor question. Is it a risk that we don't sign him up? I just want a yes or no answer from you guys. Yes or no answer. So starting with you, Tom, is it a risk? Is there any chance that we don't sign him this summer?
Yeah. Why would you have belief in Ed Woodward, like I've already said, and in the book?
Exactly.
They've faltered on other players in the past, so wouldn't surprise me if they're faltered now.
Okay. G?
Yeah, sorry, camera off. So I just lag or anything from that. So apologies for that. So I like to agree with Tom as well. Like, because at the end of the day, you know, we were linked to sign Bruno Fernandes next summer. Yes, we did sign him. We signed him in January. You know, for what, 47 something million. You know, you mean to tell me that United didn't have 47 million? You know, to deal to, and had we had Bruno Fernandes at the beginning of the season, who knows what kind of season we would have had in the end.
That's right.
So, you know, the thing with this is that, you know, I just struggle to see. I'm probably about 60-40 on this deal.
Really?
More confident than me. I'll say that.
I'm 60. I'm
60-40. Whoa, lads! What's this?
Because,
about?
I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50.
Oh my word,
way,
lads!
You know, unfortunately, Shane, because we know, because this is United are not like, you know, look, you know, Tom's even talking about City and even Liverpool. Look at Chelsea, like literally Chelsea, like
exactly.
you know, forget about even the transfer. People talk about Chelsea the transfer ban. They forget the fact that, like, you know, they knew that and they signed Kovacic and Pulisic, who they then had during knowing that. So yes, they had a transfer ban, but Kovacic and Pulisic were essentially new signings that started this season, and you've seen how good Pulisic is. And now in January, somehow outside the transfer window, you know, or they make these negotiations.
Beforehand.
They signed Ziyech, they signed Werner, and looks like Kai Havertz potentially might join them. This is even before the transfer window was even officially opened. You know, Manchester United is like, you know, oh yeah, we're linked with goodness knows how many players on the sun. Transfer window opens, we're still linked with goodness knows how many players on the sun, and then a week to go, and we're desperately trying to find, you know.
But I more think that's to do with the way we negotiate, a la Woodward. And more than the fact that we're not going to sign a player. If that makes sense.
I think, Shane, I think that there is an organization issue, because, like, you just look at the January transfer window, and I love a guy, I love him coming, but even just the way that we signed him was a kind of like with is it going to be Josh King? Is it going to be Gallo? The last state of sort of like, it's completely disorganized. You know, so whereas you look at Chelsea, look at Liverpool. It's like, right, okay, we've identified this person, we've had negotiations, deal done, that's it. You know, so whether it's probably Woodward, whether it's the scouts,
it's true.
I don't know. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that if we are going to sign him, it's not going to be. We've got to bear in mind the transfer window. I don't think it's going to close this season because of these circumstances. October.
So we will sign someone, but you're 60-40 whether it'll be Sancho, and Tom's 50-50 whether it be Sancho. And Draco, where do you stand with that?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was somebody else, to be honest, if I'm honest. I wouldn't surprise it wouldn't surprise me.
Do you know what? We've done our due diligence in terms of ensuring that we do have other options by all means, but I just don't listen, the amount of like you say, when you feel like a bit of a journalist when you're doing this now, and the amount of stuff you come across where I always feel like it's a clue when you're looking at this stuff and you're seeing it's in the local newspapers of the country that the individual's in, if they're not in England, where it's local newspapers from around that club as well, where those people that are close to the club, or journalists that are close to the club, or if it's national journalists that are close to the club, they start leaking information across, and then that then filters through to the relevant player. I feel like that's always a bit of a clue that to whether or not a deal is actually legit or whether it's happening or not. Now, in terms of terms being agreed, I think that was done quite some time ago. Whether it's Sancho,
so talking about
it's been done a long time ago. I feel like in terms of terms agreed. Sancho is coming to Man United. Man United want to buy Sancho, and as you mentioned before as well, Tom, you know, Dortmund are willing to sell. So
like I say though, we just talked about like what journalism and everything. There was a former scout. You might have seen the report. I'm not sure if you saw the report or anything. It was a former scout for Manchester United who did the scouting network in Germany. It was one of the top 3 scouts for us in Europe's 5 major countries. And he did basically all of Germany. He watched the German league. And he actually stated to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to buy Christian Pulisic. He said to Jose Mourinho, look, this player, you can go and get him for 50, 60 million pounds. Simple. Just go and negotiate with Borussia Dortmund. They'd be happy to sell you the player. And he'd easily improve your team massively. Christian Pulisic's gone to Chelsea now. Amazing player. I'd probably say, he's not played for him all year. Probably one of their best players this season, if I'm being honest. Christian Pulisic. Anybody would take it.
When he's played, he's been really, really good. But back to the point though, with regards to Sancho, Draco, is he coming? So we've got Tom at 50-50. We've got G at 60-40. What are you at then, Draco?
100%. 100%.
All right then, G. Let's have some confidence. Let's have some confidence in here, then, G. Man. Come on. Let's have some confidence in here, lad.
He better come because I'll pre-ordered my number 7 Jadon Sancho top for next season, so he's gonna come.
What?
But in all seriousness, I think he'll come. Gee, in all seriousness, though.
Do you know G's a realist, right? Tom's on the fence. I'm an optimist, and Draco's just away with the fairies.
I think he's going to be one of the players that we're probably going to end up signing. But I don't know when. With Woodward at the helm, it could be next season. So.
I see what you've done there.
Listen. No, that's not cool. That's not cool, Drake. I see how you dropped that one. Okay, no, that's cool. But you know what though? I do like the fact. I like the fact that we're not overly excited in terms of what we expect from Woodward now. We're not sort of like deluded in terms of this is going to get done. We as fans now, we now know to do our due diligence in terms of whether or not someone's going to be signed or what's following behind it. Me personally, as I say, there's normally clues that you can, like I say, with doing this now. There's normally, and all this stuff you have to wade through the fact from the fiction, so to speak. There's quite a lot in terms of, by the way, of clues. I feel as to whether or not someone's going to come, and we take it back to Bruno Fernandes. Whereby in the local Portuguese papers, it was sort of going along a sort of trajectory where it was going up and up and up. And you when you look at past sort of interviews and press releases, you see some sort of more fictional than others. And some purely, do you know what I mean, dealing facts. So it's one of those. Listen, this is football and this is Manchester United and this is definitely Ed Woodward. So nothing's guaranteed till it's done and dusted. So we can't take it by any means.
The only thing I would say, Shane, just interject before we move on, is that to be fair, and I'll give the benefit of the doubt to Ed Woodward. To be fair, although maybe he's manipulating, I don't know, but like because Manchester United is such a big football club. A lot of the stories, a lot of the press, a lot of things come out because we generate so much media hype, and therefore that leads to obviously money for a lot of these outlets. It's very easy for like a lot of like so many. Anytime it comes to the transfer window, United linked with almost every other player underneath the sun. Because one, that generates money for the media outlets, and two, it's the agents like look at it and go, oh, we can potentially sort of make a better arrangement for our players, so by leaking the story to the media outlets to make them so I guess what I'm saying is that some of it is not necessarily his fault. Some of it is just because we are the biggest club
We
in the
are.
world.
We're
and we
big,
are the most
big
talked
fueling
about.
engine, aren't we? Yeah.
You don't even see this with like City, like even when City do their transfer, do you see the hype generated around any transfer that they sign? Not really.
No.
So because no one reads City transfer news. You know what I mean? But people read.
I'd be a bit worried if
that's fact, though, isn't it? That is fact. That is fact, though. Let's be honest. No one does read City news. And listen to G's point. Manchester United are a big sort of they generate hype. Let's be honest about it. Like G said, they do generate hype. You attach their name to anyone else, and it fuels interest. It is. It's a big, massive fueling engine. So, but yeah, with that point, before we sort of go on to the next topic, we've kind of run over where we thought we would be. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to step out if you need to, bro.
Yeah.
If you need to now.
I've got to head out, guys. But see you guys in a bit, though. Thanks.
Guys, make sure you subscribe into Red Devil Studio and my guy G. We're going to be doing a podcast. What time, G? We're going to be doing a podcast on
It'll probably be like let's say it's 8:30 still good.
8:30, yeah.
8:30. Yeah, 8:30. Okay, cool.
If it's 8:30, I'll try to join, buddy.
Brilliant.
Cool, man.
Brilliant.
See you guys
Thanks
a bit.
G. Take care.
No worries, buddy. No, I see you.
So yeah, I do you know what the next one is sort of, if you like, a bone of contention, if we're honest, and the question is, should the Hares next season? It's a hard one. Let's be honest, it's a hard one because where we've been with the Hare and where he's been with us, it's quite heart-wrenching to see where he is right now as our number one and tried and trusted. He's played more games now than Peter Schmeichel, and he's also kept more clean sheets than Peter Schmeichel. So, that being said, we look at the Great Dane as one of the, if not the best goalkeeper Manchester United have ever had. But in terms of consistency and in terms of availability, David De Gea surpasses him now in appearances and also clean sheets. So what say you, Tom?
I'm not sure if you've watched a couple of videos when I've been on a couple of other people's channels. I've had my say on David De Gea. Too long now. If it was only for maybe half the season, might be able to forgive him. But it's cost us too much.
It's been 18 months now. 18 months now, isn't it?
18 months. Thank you. I've said this quote over time. 18 months to 2 years. It's been crap. Last season, halfway through last season, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in, he was probably one of the main problems why we bottled the Champions League. I go back to the Chelsea game when we were at Old Trafford and we drew 1-1. Spilled the ball. We draw that game. Champions League's over. We don't qualify because Huddersfield and Cardiff didn't mean anything, even if we won both games. So there you go. It's lost us the Champions League. This season, I've said it, I can think of probably 4 games in the league where it's cost us points. Everton away at Goodison Park, that was one. Arsenal away at the Emirates, that was one. Watford. And the FA Cup, I think it needs to. I think if that hasn't opened a lot of people's eyes, go and watch the game back. Go and watch him all over this season. Yeah. Seriously. Because if he can't be motivated to make these mistakes at a semi-final of the FA Cup, it was not even in the final, the semi-final, and he's making these mistakes, how can he be trusted? And like you've just alluded to with Peter Schmeichel and everything, and the main focus is it David De Gea or is it Dean Henderson? That's the major question. And I'm looking at and I'm struggling with De Gea because I like De Gea. He's been the goalkeeper. He's been at Manchester United 10 years, and he's done some amazing things for this football club. Been the player of the year at this football club numerous times. Saved our asses numerous times. But the thing is, people got to think that is in the past. We're Man United. We're trying to build for the future. We're trying to get to Liverpool and Manchester City. And I look at Liverpool. Liverpool got to a Champions League final with their goalkeeper, Loris Karius. He made 2 goalkeeping errors, just like David De Gea has in the semi-final against Chelsea. He made 2 goalkeeping errors, right? They got rid of him in the summer straight away, out the door, and they got a new goalkeeper. So is this going to happen with David De Gea? Now, I don't expect David De Gea to be sold because it's not as easy to sell a player as it is to maybe just pass them off on a free transfer or something. I'm expecting Sergio Romero to leave. I think he's disgusted from what I've actually heard come out of Manchester United.
Yeah.
He's disgusted at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for not selecting him, not even for the FA Cup game, but possibly to take over from him because
it's challenge,
disgusting.
isn't it? Yeah,
exactly.
to challenge.
Romero, how many caps has he got for Argentina?
He
got to a World Cup final.
Mate, he's no joke, is he? He's no joke, is he?
To a World Cup
let's
final,
be honest.
for crying out loud. For me, he's the best number 2 in the world. Sergio Romero, over 100 caps for Argentina.
Let's be honest though. He's not really a number 2, is he? He's actually a number 1, like you say.
Team.
Yeah,
and I'm hearing a lot of stuff about Marcelo Bielsa, Leeds, wanting to go and get him to play for Leeds in goalkeeper next season. Wouldn't surprise me if he went to Leeds.
He'll be number 1 in most, if not most Premier League teams. Yeah, he'll be number 1 most Premier League teams.
Anybody who needs a goalkeeper, I'm sure if he went to just in Chelsea, he'd be number 1.
Yeah,
because he's got that pedigree. Playing in big competitions. He could have dealt with the pressure of playing in an FA Cup semi-final. He's playing in a World Cup final.
Of course,
that's bigger. That's final.
100%.
Semi-final
for Argentina as well. So,
there you go.
Exactly.
His pressure's high with Argentina, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was just I've been saying for quite some time, we need to give him next season. But then next season comes and then we're in a position, right, where we can do something and then De Gea cost us again and again and again and again.
Cost us for 2 years now.
What happens then? And I think the thing what changed my mind realistically was when he made those errors, right? Where we're against Chelsea, where 1 was definitely his fault, a second questionable, a third one maybe not so, but could have done better or looked better, I should say. That game, and then obviously he started, like you said, Tom alluded to then, where he then started the rest of the season, right? And like you said, you heard coming out of Manchester that rightly so, Romero is disgusted, and so he should be.
I would have packed his bags, mate, David De Gea. I would have packed his bags. He's done at this football club, man. 29 years old. He's not even Spain's number 1.
Yeah.
He is crap.
Yeah.
He's crap.
Yeah.
And they want to get a new goalkeeper, and he's number 2 at Spain. He's been to Spain's been to World Cup finals and that. I've got, and we'll talk about David De Gea. Dean Henderson is a future England number 1. He's better than Jordan Pickford by a country mile at Everton. Pickford, oh my God, revolting, absolutely terrible. Dean Henderson will be England number 1 for sure. And if he isn't number 1 for Manchester United, maybe not this season, I want him to be. For the next season, I want him to be. But if he isn't, and if he isn't the following summer, don't expect Dean Henderson to stay at this football club any longer. Waiting.
Well,
he's waited 4 years.
There you go. There you go. So
it can easily go to Chelsea or something and be number 1. And Chelsea are in a better position than us.
Let's be honest. Like, if you're looking at Dean Henderson now, what do you have? The was it his second or third most clean sheets in the league? So there you go. So that kind of tells its own story. So Draco,
for defenders in front of him at Sheffield United.
So that's no lie. So what would you say, G, in terms of De Gea in goal next season?
Myself, look, just keep it for 1 more season, but listen me out under 2 conditions only. Yeah, I know. Sorry, Tom. I know you love the game. All right, 1 more season, right? But under 2 conditions only. Only to have balls to take him off whenever he's performing crap, which he hasn't done recently. And I think that's complacency that kicked into him, thinking that he can get away with mistakes. 2, have Dean Henderson with him, literally give him a challenge. And that's it. As Tom said, Dean Henderson is going to be England number 1. We go back 2 years. We go back before 2 years, right? He made high-profile mistakes, De Gea. Yeah, he's done at the club for me, but he made high mistakes in Spain, isn't it? That's why he's been dropped. It's not as if he's been at United.
That's where it started, wasn't it?
Yeah, in 2018. Yeah. And I think a lot of complacency has kicked in, thinking that if I was in this position, I'm earning so much money and I'll get my number 1 spot regardless of whether I make mistakes or not.
People forget he's the world's highest paid goalkeeper at 375k.
Yeah. And I think if I was in this position, I'll be like, I'm getting away with murder, and he won't push himself, right? To have someone like Dean Henderson come in, and potentially Dean Henderson is England number 1. I think he'll give him a real right kick up the arse in regards to David De Gea. And I think Oli needs to recognize that and have the balls to drop David De Gea.
Okay, so with that though, and staying with you then, Draco. So to the next question, is he ready? Now, Ollie's come out and said now he believes that Dean Henderson one day will be Manchester United England's number one. So staying with you then, Draco, is Dean Henderson ready?
For United number one, I think he needs one full season with us, not out on loan or anywhere. And I think a step up in terms of pressure versus what who's he played for, it's gonna be a different level. You're gonna be at Old Trafford as a potential number one, and to play Dean Henderson week in, week out, there's a lot of pressure to take. And I think bedding him in well over the one season will do wonders for Dean Henderson. I think if Dean Henderson goes in, he makes a couple of high profile mistakes, his head will drop. There's a lot of bigger pressure at United than Sheffield United. And United's keepers over the last 20, 30 years, whatever, they've been top notch. They weren't,
best in the world.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So I think I think Dean Henderson will be number one for us eventually. I do feel that next season he needs to be at United, and I think he needs to play a lot more games than he's expected to play.
Yeah,
I reckon. And if De Gea starts making more mistakes, fair enough. Dean Henderson should be there to take the chances, and I think he's more than capable of doing that.
Okay. So with relation to that, then I'm let's go to the comments actually, because I was just seeing a comment from Jonathan Reed. And guys, again, thank you very much for joining us in the comments. All the regulars, much appreciated for you joining us. Any new guys, thank you very much for joining us. Making sure you're subscribing as well to Draco Evolve. But we just going over what Jonathan said there. Do we stick with someone because of what he's done in the past? Do we give him another opportunity? Do we then, I suppose, if you like, I like what you mentioned in regards to as a possibility to certain parameters, but I don't think in terms of if he's not performing, then he's dropped immediately. However, that being said, I don't believe that Ollie will do that. I believe like he did if he clangers. It's not performing, it's clangers that De Gea has been sort of dropping last season and at least half of the season before, maybe leading back to Spain. So if that was the case, I'd say possibly, but because of what Ollie did, and he started De Gea again and again and again after the Chelsea game, because let's be honest, we it's not like Romero is a dummy goalkeeper. I didn't like the fact that after that many clangers throughout the whole of this season, that he's not dropped him. And again, it's not like it's Lee Grant that we're replacing him with. Do you know what I mean? So if I thought that was the case next season, and that Ollie would indeed drop him when he's had a howler, then I'd say, I'm all for giving him an opportunity. But I don't believe that'll be the case. That's why I believe, like I said, my mind was changed after that game, and he stuck with David De Gea. That's why, like I said, I like your point, Draco, that if he was to do that and stick with next season, then brilliant, But I don't believe Ollie will do that. Like Tom said, and like you've alluded to, Draco, if he's got the balls to do it, I don't believe he does. So that's why, for me, I would then look at the possibility of bringing Dean Henderson back. But again, to reiterate your point, though, Draco, playing for Manchester United and making mistakes for Manchester United, let's not be deluded in the manner that Dean Henderson hasn't made mistakes. It's the fact that, one, he's not made that many mistakes, nowhere near as much as they have, and two, it's not highlighted anywhere near as much as it is and will be at Manchester United. So that's the difference. But so where's the happy medium in between that? To me, the happy medium would be if he would drop him. But I wouldn't have Dean Henderson back as a backup goalkeeper. For me, I'd leave him out on loan. For me, if he had the balls to drop him and give Romeo the opportunity, then brilliant. But I think even Romeo knows now that Ollie's not going to do that, regardless of what David De Gea does. He knows, De Gea knows for sure he's not going to get dropped. And Romero, unfortunately for him, and I feel for him, unfortunately, he knows that David De Gea is not going to get dropped. So that's why after that game against Chelsea, my mind was changed in that moment. The following game after Chelsea game, and that's where my mind was changed, and that's why I've said, well, for me, if you in that like you've alluded to, Tom's alluded to, we've had cracking goalkeepers, and that's what we've been built of. Cracking goalkeepers, a brilliant centre half pairing, which to that point we don't have at the moment. You guys know I'm not a Lindelof fan, rightly or wrongly. I'm not a Lindelof fan.
Same.
But you know, so if we don't have the centre back pairing and we don't have the goalkeeper performing that we have, don't get me wrong, we've got the goalkeeper, but we don't have the goalkeeper performing at the levels he has been previous. So for me, you can't have both. You can't have the centre back pairing that isn't working. You can't have the goalkeeper that's not working. So for me, that's why we have to, unfortunately, and I'll say it with a heavy heart. Honestly, I do say it with a heavy heart. For me, we have to at least look at phasing David De Gea out and bringing back Henderson and giving him that opportunity.
Pre-season, prime example. David De Gea plays one game, Dean Henderson plays another, and keep the same back four, and then we'll see who performs better. Because I'll guarantee you, Dean Henderson. Right, I look at Dean Henderson at Sheffield United. Right, he's got shite defenders in front of him. Not as good as defenders as we'd say at Man United. Right?
Or just the whole team. The whole team, though, Tom. Let's be honest.
Right. But what I'm getting at here is Dean Henderson has to make probably about 11 saves in a match that are on target, in a sense. Possibly, maybe just wide. So he's got to do stuff in a Sheffield United team. David De Gea, in certain games this season, he's just had to sit there and twiddle at thumbs, really. He's had nothing to do. So Dean Henderson's in the net. Dean Henderson might let in a goal when there's been 7 shots on target. That's not a bad ratio for a goalkeeper, really. But David De Gea,
just to that point, Tom, Dean Henderson has the best shots to goals ratio in the Premier League. I know he's got the second most goals conceded as a goalkeeper, but he has the best shots to goals ratio in the Premier League by some margin over Edison as well.
And to be honest, something strikes me as Dean Henderson, as in he wants the number one at United, which is a good mentality to have. Which is a very good. That's what we need, which is a good mentality to have, because he's been phenomenal, to be frank. Dean Henderson.
And with what people saying about David De Gea and saying that he's been a great servant for the club and he's been at the club 10 years and everything in his defence and that. Right, when he's made these goalkeeping errors, right, and we'll take the Chelsea game because that cost us to get to a final, right? Possibly lift a trophy, right? Did he come out on the Sky Sports Media or BBC or anything and apologise for his mistakes or anything? Did he apologise for anything? No. The manager had to do it for him. The manager has to wipe his backside like everything else. So, quite clearly, if that was Ferguson, he'd have strung him up.
Do you know what, Tom? I'm going to jump on that point, actually. So, you see, with regards to David De Gea coming out, you know what? For me, there's 2 things that's massive in football, right? So, that's obviously taking ownership of your own performances, but accountability when it's not going right. So, for example, someone who does that and who's not been at the club any time at all is Bruno Fernandes. When they're interviewing him after or before or in a game, and they're asking him about X, Y, Z and his performances, assists, goals, all that jazz, and they're asking him, they're basically goading him into talking about himself. All he ever does is deflect and talk about his teammates, and how he couldn't do anything without his teammates and what he can and does do with his teammates. So for me, that goes a massive, massive long way. Accountability, which is one of the reasons as to why. A massive reason as to why David De Gea was not given that captaincy.
Because he's not a leader. He doesn't support the team. You know, when you're a leader, you know, I look at some of the captains we've had at this football club. You know, we've had Roy Keane been a captain, Ferdinand, all these players. They had the balls to go up to another player and say, right, you're doing it wrong. You need to do this. And they put the player in check. David De Gea would not. You're telling me David De Gea would have gone up to Harry Maguire and said, right, you need to be put in check. You need to be doing this, doing that. Would you listen to him now?
No chance.
He's got no qualification for that at all. But I look at somebody like Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire is the leader of the defence, the leader of the whole team. He is a captain in this team, 100%. Bruno Fernandes, would be a captain in this team.
Yes.
He would be the
100%.
captain if Harry Maguire was not. He would be the captain in this team 100%. Even if we bought something like Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish has got the balls to at least say something to another one of his players. It might be what, 5'7" or something. Doesn't make a difference. It at least
Don't
tell
make
us
any
team.
difference. Yeah.
No, and this is what I mean. Leaders. You need leaders in the dressing room. And if you don't have them, you don't own a game, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can't run on the field and tell his players what to do. You've got to sign from the touchline.
Exactly.
He's got to have that leader. And
accountability is huge. It's huge. It's huge. Like you say too. But that, obviously, you mentioned Grealish. That brings us on to our last topic. To be fair, though, guys,
what a coincidence.
Is that okay? So I'll put it down in two different aspects. I want to see in the comments as well, guys. In the comments, let me know, because I'm 50-50 with this one, and I'll tell you for why. So first of all, the question is, Grealish, do we sign him? Do we go after him? Now, you would have seen Ryan Giggs the other day saying, get Sancho and Grealish, get them both. I'll give you the fors and against. In my opinion, this is the against is, and this will be a roundabout way where it's actually in favour of signing him. But the against is, can we afford to sign a player like Grealish, and not start him where he's potentially, I believe, if he does come to Manchester United, potentially he'll prove he's a starting caliber player for Manchester United. There are very few players of Grealish's ability where he's not rapidly quick. He's not by any means as strong as an ox. He's not sort of Neymar, Ronaldinho skillful, but what he does is he glides with that ball and you can't get it off him. That's why him and Zaha was the most foul players in the Premier League. That being said, so can we afford to sign him and not start him? But then on the other hand, can we afford to sign him, start him over Pogba? No.
Oh, no.
In my opinion. Bruno, in my opinion, no, because I've seen him play out wide for Aston Villa quite a lot. And I live in Birmingham, and there's a lot of Aston Villa players, fans that I know, and I've seen him play out wide quite a lot, and he's not as effective.
No, he's not.
Highly influential when he's in the middle of the park. So do we then sign Grealish and have him as Pogba and Bruno? For me, are the players that you start if for example, 35 of the 38 Premier League games, start in 4 of the 6 Champions League group games, pending qualification, and every single Champions League game, knockout stage game. So what then happens with Grealish? But the reasons why I say we should sign him is for the same reason why I said, do we not sign him? Is because there are very few players like Jack Grealish. He's very creative. He glides with the ball. He's a goal threat. He's very, very consistent and reliable.
He's good from set pieces.
And he's very good from set pieces. So this is why I'm 50-50. Can we afford to sign a player like him?
Is he left-footed as well?
No, he's right-footed naturally. Right-footed naturally. So do we, guys, in the comments, let me know what you think as well. Let us know what you think. So, because the reason why I'm saying I'm on the fence with this player, because I believe he's that good. Is he too good to then come to Manchester United and then sit on the bench, say, or not be a starter? Does he uproot Pogba or Bruno? If we sign in Sancho as well. So for me, it then gives a chemical imbalance to our the way we play as well, because he's too good to be sitting on our bench, I believe, and he's not good enough to dethrone Bruno or Pogba. So let me know, guys. So Draco, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I'll go. Look, I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched much of Grealish this season at all. That's why I've asked you. Is he left-footed?
He's right naturally.
I don't look forward to obviously Aston Villa games. But I refuse to watch like YouTube videos because it makes
anyone can be made to look YouTube.
But from what I've been reading and seeing, from you as well, Shane, sorry, he's a good player. What I have a problem with is, I think the price that's being touted around is a lot for someone who's potentially going to come and not start. But I do feel maybe that money could be spent better elsewhere or abroad. Like Donny van der Beek will come for cheaper, and I think he's a good player himself. However, if Oli is persistent about getting British players, and he's identifies and he's adamant that he wants Grealish fine, fair play, get him. I mean, squad depth is important. I think there's a lot of deadwoods in our squad. You look at the central midfield area, right? McTominay is not creative. Fred is not a creative midfielder. And Andres Pereira is the next best thing that we have in terms of creativity, bar Pogba. And so
don't forget, do you know who you're forgetting there? Juan Mata.
Jesse.
Yes.
Jesse Lingard.
Lingardinho.
Yeah.
Lingardinho.
But yeah, I do believe that we need someone of his creativity, guile. I think to kind of step in as well, because you're not going to have Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes available throughout the whole season. No, it's not going to happen. They're going to get an injury here and there. They're going to need rest. Games will come thick and fast with the Champions League now in the mix as well. So it's nice to have squad in depth. I think he will be a luxury signing for bench if it's for that much. But if we can manage to kind of get rid of a few players, which I believe we will this season, a few deadwoods, then why not bring him, draft him in? Also, talking about Jack, talking about Jack Grealish. You know, I like him. You know, fair play. You know, he sounds like a good player. But you know, you look at someone like James Garner, what he's doing in the under 23s. You know, why not give him a bit of a chance as well? You know, it's better to have him at least on the bench than someone like Andres Pereira. No, get rid of him and give that James Garner in the under 23s. He's been immense, and he's already how old is he now? 19, 20, I think. So
he's 20 now, I think.
Send him out on loan as well. So
yeah. So to this season,
that can be another option. You know, you never know. But Jack Grealish, I think it will be more of a luxury signing for that much money when money can be spent.
Yeah, but so just going back to Jonathan Reed's point there, if we don't get Sancho, we'll get Grealish, not both, and that's to my point there, where it's how do we make that work? How do we make that essence of Grealish, Sancho, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, Igalo, Pogba, Bruno, Fred, McTominay? How do we make that work?
It's simple. It's simple to make it work. Get rid of Jay Links, Phil Jones, Sanchez, Chris Smalling. Make it a transfer. You know, these are all deadwoods in the club.
Yeah, they are.
Andres Pereira as well. That's 5 players there on top of my head.
But I look at players like Sanchez
Diego Dalot
and Smalling as already not part of the squad because it just okay. So if you listen to this midfield, where in terms of this isn't including our forwards, so the midfield area which we're focusing on with Jack Grealish. We've got Scott McTominay, Fred, Matic, Pogba, Bruno, Mata, Pereira, Lingard, and then if we add Grealish to that without getting rid of anyone, then you know it's a lot, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I think we need to get rid of people to get Grealish in. We need to.
It's a good point. It's a good point. All right, Tom. Go on, Tom. Tom's itching. Come on, Tom. What are you saying? Mate?
Nah. Right, let's
compose yourself first, Tom. Compose yourself first, mate.
let me take a deep breath. Right, there's one word that describes this: rubbish. To be honest, why do we need? Right, I know. I get the points of Jack Grealish. You know, we need. You know, be good to come off the bench, quality player like him. He doesn't need to adapt to the Premier League because he's already played in the Premier League, so he's Premier League proven. Yeah. So he doesn't need to adapt to the league or anything. You know, exactly the same with if he did come, I wouldn't complain. But £80 million is the fee that's touted for him. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not paying that. You know, you probably get somebody in the youth ranks to sit on the bench who would happily do that. You know, Jack Grealish. I don't particularly think 80 million is a particular price tag that I would associate with. I'd probably pay for him is about 65-ish. If I'm being honest, you know, maybe if they got relegated, it would have been a bit more. I might have been, let's go and get him. You know, relegation, you might get him for a couple, 20 million cheaper than what they're asking right now. But I think there's better options out there that we can get. Like said, Van der Beek would happily come into this team. I think from Ajax. I've already said about Ajax. Good promoting young players.
Their conveyor belt,
conveyor belt of promoting young players. They flag them on for a bit of money. Yeah. I think Donny van der Beek wouldn't have a problem interchanging the midfield with players such as Pogba and Bruno throughout the season. They're not going to play 50, 60 games in a season. They're going to need a rest at some point. I take it back to say Liverpool. Liverpool have got quite a few midfielders, but they switch it out every single game. Like 1 week they'll have like 3 midfield. They'll have Hendo, Ox, and Wijnaldum. Next week they'll have Milner, Henderson and
Fabinho.
Fabinho. There you go. You
Yeah.
know, they've got the squad depth to interchange these players out. Whereas we have got the squad depth, but the players are just shite. You know, Pereira and Lingard play him next to Pogba. Then Pogba's suddenly crap. Play him next to Bruno. Bruno's probably crap then. You know, we need quality players to play with quality players, really. And I think like someone just alluded to earlier, you know, £80 million, we can splash that somewhere else. You know, I've already said it. I think a right wing has been the priority this summer. Let's say we sign Sancho then.
Yeah.
Then I think probably for me, I think we only need 2 more positions really in terms of this starting 11, and then we'll talk about squad depth after that.
So that check out this comment then from CJS there 11. Spend the money on a centre half. Then is that what you're alluding to there, Tom?
100%.
I was going to say 2 positions. I was going to say centre half, and I was going to say CDM because Matic is aging on now, and we've just given him a new contract, which I think was a load of crap to be honest with you.
Yeah, 3 years.
You know, we need to sign somebody younger. And DD doesn't strike me as a player who would come to Man United for the right reasons. He's a quality player, yes. Leicester to Manchester United is a step up in class, yes. I don't particularly think he would come for the right reasons, and I don't think you'd get him for cheap. You'd probably have to pay 80 million to get him, like we had to pay for Harry Maguire, you know. So, I've thrown one name about, and a lot of people have joked to me and said, "Oh, why would you go get him and everything?" Because, let's actually play a little bit of game of guess who here, right? Right, the player's 21, he's English, he plays in the Premier League currently, he can play CDM or centre back, so he's versatile, and he plays for a team in the bottom half of the table. What player am I thinking of?
Oh, that West Ham kid.
Declan Rice.
Declan Rice.
Yeah.
That's the man who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think you'd get him for peanuts, to be honest with you. West Ham, you know,
he's young,
he's young and he can develop, you know. And he's leaning off of a Premier League great. Yeah, Matic, we've got to think Matic has won Premier League titles. Let's not forget, he's won them at Chelsea. He's won major trophies. So what a player to learn off of. You know, Rice comes in, can learn off of a Premier League winner in Matic, learn his game and everything, style his game maybe around him. And I always see Declan Rice, I don't know, I see him as a bit of a Roy Keane, really. But he's not as fierce as Roy Keane was when he went into tackles, but he's calm on the ball. And we need that player who can break this, press, like the pressing game. We need that player. And at the club, we haven't got that currently. Matic was that, but I think he's a bit outdated.
He's not mobile now. He's not mobile now.
We need someone mobile and younger. And obviously, like we've just said about the centre half, Lindelof, mate. Well, we talk about David De Gea, mate. I think he needs to be dropped at bench. Lindelof, personally, definitely would not get in.
Okay. Whilst we're on that, then, so this whole, because obviously there's already been a comment in regards to the centre half. Who's out there that we can go and sign in terms of a centre half replacement? Who's out there?
Do you want me to give you 3 names?
Give me 3 names for centre half.
Well, I think if I'm going to be realistic in what I say, probably 3 names that are realistic to a club like Man United. Koulibaly is a name that's going to be there. You know, like love it or hate, is a name that's going to be linked with Man United forever, probably, because he's the top centre back in the world. So I'd probably put Koulibaly on the table. I'd probably put who else could I put on the table? I'd probably put Skriniar on the table. Milan Skriniar from Inter Milan. And the last one, you know, I would have gone for someone like Nathan Ake, but he's off to Man City.
I was not saying Nathan Ake. I wouldn't mind him.
All right. Okay, Draco, you give me 3 then as well.
I actually agree with what Tom said. I think with Koulibaly and Skriniar, right, they're at an age that enables someone like Lindelof still get game time. Like Lindelof's still young, right? We're not signing a young centre back who can potentially take over from Lindelof, which will probably, demoralize him, whatever you want to call it. But they're at an age and experienced centre backs next to Harry Maguire, which will enable the likes of, say, Lindelof, who's still young, can learn of these guys, right? I do see a very good defender in Lindelof, but not a very good defender if you're going to challenge for top honors. You know what I
always say about, for example, in any one position, for example, let's start with Lindelof. Is he aerially dominant? No,
Nope.
he's not.
No.
Is he physically strong? No,
No.
he's not.
No.
Is he rapid, quick? No,
No.
he's not.
No.
Is he one of those defenders that can bring the ball out of the back and you know,
No.
like you Van Dijk's
No.
or that? No, he's not. So.
No.
For potentially where we're trying to be, which is a Premier League winning side, you need. So, for example, Harry Maguire isn't quick, but he's aerially dominant, right? He's positionally decent. He's somewhat of a leader.
He ticks enough boxes.
He ticks some boxes, whereas Lindelof doesn't tick any boxes for me.
And this is what I mean. You need to compare them. So Maguire can tick a few boxes for you, and then you need the partner who can tick the rest of them.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That Maguire can't tick.
Hence a complementary piece. But with Lindelof, he doesn't do any of that, and that's why I'm bemused when it comes to Oli, because he's continually starting with him. Now you're trying to tell me that Axel Tuanzebe was injured for the whole season last season.
No.
I would love to have seen him.
We have to look at that and put sort of some pressure on Oli in regards to that, because like I say, he wasn't injured the whole of last season. So where's the foresight in terms of what you're seeing as a manager? Personally, there's a young kid over at RB Leipzig by the name of Dea Upamecano, who is 21.
He's just signed a new contract though.
I know that's the only thing. But do you know why? Do you know why they've done that? Because the release,
they can put a release clause in it to make it higher price.
That's what it was. They've upped the release clause. His wage has gone up by 5k, and that's all. That's the only difference.
Only 5k.
Yeah,
5k.
That to me says they're just prepared for a big, because he could have gone for something like silly like 27 million. He's rapid, quick, physically strong, very good in the air. Positionally, he's not the greatest, but he'd be a complementary centre back. To Harry Maguire.
The names could just trip off your tongue.
Yeah. If you want to kind of do the younger side of things, I think one foreign player is Florentino Luis, CDM and centre back. He's an absolute monster. And I'm sure he's
and there's that one name that's floating about right now in there. What's that? Gabriel Magalhaes or something.
Yeah. I haven't seen him much around, but he's floating around, isn't he?
I'll find that name actually. I don't know. All I know is he's from Lille. That's all I know about.
Man United are reportedly interested in him, but apparently
regardless, we do need a centre back in my opinion, because you can't rely on Phil Jones at all, and you know everybody's injured.
Whoa! That's blasphemy out here, Draco. That name's blasphemy. We can't be saying that name out here.
You can't really rely on centre back.
That guy's taking some of my money. That's what I'm saying. When I watch Sky Sports, I'm thinking Phil Jones is getting some of my money. So blasphemy. We cannot say that name here.
You can't rely on Jesse Lingard off the centre back position, and obviously Eric Bailly, who's out half the time of the injury, right? Which leaves us with only Lindelof and Maguire as centre back pairing, and that's not good enough. That is not good enough. Imagine Maguire gets an injury next season at some point. Imagine that, and we don't have a centre back.
True.
We're going to be in such a huge exactly. and that's what scares. That's what scares me about Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well, because he's our only recognizable right.
And he played way too many games. He played way too many games. Even he got burnt out as well, man. Missed the spider legs himself. But you know, that being said, though, we're go on, Joe.
Sorry about that. In the back line, I'll just end it with that. In the back line, we're one injury away to having a bit of a shit show.
Yeah, it's true.
Look at anyone. Anyone. One injury away. At least with the central midfield, you can get away with it. You know, if Popper gets injured, you can kind of feel it with McTominay, Fred, whatever. But
I like that shout with Declan Rice as well, because he can actually fit in at centre back as well.
Exactly.
Declan Rice can. So I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I'm not mad at that choice, Tom. I'm not mad at that choice at all. Do you know what I mean? But what I will say though is we're in a decent position going forward, decent enough position. But obviously the points tally differential between ourselves and City and obviously Liverpool is we shouldn't be that far away. It's a different stratosphere, isn't it? So we've got a long way to go. Let's not be deluded in that thought process, but we're on the right path. And if we look at, say, for example, November earlier this season, we didn't look anywhere near where we finished the season. So we've got to take that into account, but we've got some work to do. Yeah, we do. But we're there or thereabouts. But I think we'll close there, lads. And I just want to say thanks for everyone joining us in the comments, and Tom, Draco, and obviously Red Devil Studio G, when he was in earlier, made it obviously very special. It was my first podcast live. So thank you very much for everyone joining us as well. Don't forget to subscribe to Red Devil Studio and Draco Evolve as well, guys. Tom, Draco, guys, thank you very much for joining me, and we shall end it there, and we'll jump on Red Devil Studios podcast in about 45 minutes.
Yep.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Yep. See you guys.
Cheers. Bye.